Welcome everyone to Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Reardon and I'll be your mindset coach today. And today we're going to be talking about the importance of not quieting your voice. Now, on last episode, we talked about the importance of quieting your mind. And that's going to be operating under the premise of you quiet your mind so you can figure out what you need to do in life, what direction you need to move. But today we're going to be talking about why you shouldn't quiet your voice. And that's going to be different than your mind. Your voice is going to be what you allow, that line in the sand that you don't want anyone to cross. And that's what we're going to be talking about today and breaking it down in correlation to what's happening in the world. Now, one of the biggest things that's happening is going to be happening in Canada. And that's going to be the trucker strike, the Freedom March. I believe I saw a post or something that they might be outside the Capitol in a peaceful protest. But it's interesting though, because though these people are peaceful, they are being labeled as tyrants. They're being labeled as terrorists, as hateful people. When you look at the videos, there's nothing but love. Now, Canadians are very gentle people. And for them to go out and to show the government that they are not happy with what's happening, that's going to take a lot for them to do that because they're naturally peaceful. They don't want to have an opposition. They don't want to cause trouble. They want to be able to live their life. Just the other day, Prime Minister Trudeau, I believe his name is, he came out with an order or some type of law, not sure if it's active or not, that anyone who is blocking roadways illegally will be arrested or will be tried, or the use of force will be applied, right? So there's that happening, right? They're not allowing people just to block roads. Yet the police officers are allowed to block the caravans from going into Ottawa. So it's catch-22. They can do it, but we cannot. So now we are just carrying on with our life, doing what we know is right, and we're being told that we can't do something that is a given right to us, that we can't travel where we want to travel. You can't go this way. It is segregation in the sense of modern society. You can't go in this area because this area is full of these type of people, and we don't want you to conform to those type of people. Those people are bad. They get labeled as bad. And then we look at what are the possibilities, right? Now they want the mandates gone. They want the prime minister to step down, and they want to put someone in power who's going to listen to the people, not run away. And right now the people are just not happy with what the government is doing. And I think we can say almost everywhere in the world, people are upset. They're getting fed up. And the government can make any law, any rule, and they can make your life a living hell. Now, look at January 6th, for example. We had a group of people who went to Capitol. It wasn't everyone, right? It was a group of people. And not even everyone in that group of people were trying to do harm. Now, of course, you might have a few bad apples who went into places that they shouldn't have, but now they're being locked up and they're being tried for treason. And then the president and the vice president, they come on and they say, guess what? This is worse than Pearl Harbor. I'm not sure how it's worse than Pearl Harbor, but maybe in their eyes, because they realize that the people are powerful. Their voice was being heard. And now they were like, we don't want the people to rise up. We want to keep them where we can control them. And if we can control the people, then we're going to be okay. But the people have had enough. Now we want our voice to be heard. We do not want to be silenced anymore. We don't want to follow your rules and your mandates and your desires for the people that you believe is correct. Because who gave you the authority to tell us what we need in order to be successful or to survive in life? Now, it doesn't matter whether you're pro or against whatever the government's doing. Understand one thing. You are giving away your rights, your freedoms, and you're not even doing your homework on what the opposition is doing. just looking at some of the laws that came into play, and then when we have a different president who takes something away or applies something, we have to realize, is that a good thing or a bad thing? So now people are labeled far right, far left, terrorist, anti-vaxxers. They're labeled something. That's not who they are. They might just have a belief, an opinion. And I'm not sure when having a belief or an opinion was something to be looked at as wrong. Because if we think about it, no two people are going to be exactly alike. Maybe if you're identical twins, then you might have more tendencies than the regular person. But if you're looking at a person and they have a different environment, they're already different. If they have seen different behaviors or saw a behavior and interpret it differently, that person's already different. We have to understand that people are going to be different. Now, there's some people who are going to believe that they need something to help them survive. They want to put all their faith into a certain entity, and they want to say that this entity is going to be our saving grace. We're going to follow them because we believe in them. And yet, people are waking up. People are getting loud and they're saying, no, we're not going to do this anymore. But yet, people still follow blindly. And as long as they're following these type of leaders, they are going to lead us to our demise. And it's up to us as people to say, enough's enough. I don't want to head that way anymore. If you're in a relationship with someone and they're being negative and hurtful and being abusive and toxic, you don't stay in that relationship. Yeah, if we look at the relationship with just the government in general, the lies and the deceit and the manipulation that's happening, and everyone's just all for it. I hate to look at your relationship, because what type of work would need to be done there if you believe that this type of behavior is going to be acceptable? And the last defense we have is our voice. We don't have to stand up and take on arsenals to try to hurt people. We don't need that. That is not necessary. We can do this with peace. We can do this with our voice. And you might be wondering, how can we let our voice be heard? And the first step is, do not allow your voice to be silenced. This is where limiting beliefs come into play. People tell you that you can't do something. They say, you can't do it, don't even try. You're not essential, don't leave your home. They lock you down and they think there's not going to be any repercussions because they were trying to do good. And then you have these so-called experts that have gotten so many things wrong and they're not even accountable. Hell, Joe Rogan is more accountable for if he says a mistake than CNN, than Dr. Fauci, than the CDC, than the FDA, than the Biden administration. Well, what I do know is that when you have a leader, they're not able to confess that they did wrong or that they were in the wrong. That's not necessarily a leader I want to follow, because it shows that this person can't be accountable for their actions. So they're going to keep on doing actions that are not going to be appropriate for the people, for the longevity of the country. They're trying to silence our voice. They're trying to separate us. And whether that be through segregation, discrimination, culture, religion, they want us to fight each other, not them. Because they know if we fight them, guess what happens? We win. There's more of us than it's them. And just because they have some police and they have the law doesn't necessarily mean that they're protected. Because I know many officers, I know many military personnel who have the same ideas that I have, the same mindset that I have. They know right from wrong. And it doesn't matter what lieutenant tells you to follow an order, because that lieutenant is going to have to face the judge if that officer goes ahead and does what the lieutenant says. Because in the hierarchy of things, if the lieutenant says to the sergeant to do something, the sergeant has to do something. Otherwise, there's a probability that the officer could lose their job. And I've been there speaking with an officer, and the officer says, my lieutenant says that I have to do this. And there's nothing I can do about it. I know it's wrong, but I can't go against their orders. I have a family to feed. And that's happening all over the world. And not just in America or in Canada, in Europe too. everywhere. There's people doing a job and they're trying to do the best job possible, but they're having a hard time doing it because it goes against their moral character. They know what they're doing is wrong, but at the same time, their livelihood is at stake. And they just can't simply throw it away for a bit of freedom because they have a lifestyle already. They found complacency. If I can keep this job, I can provide for my family. If I'm a good boy and I just follow directions, then everything will just turn out to be okay. Now, there's a problem with turning out okay. Because if we don't say anything, it's going to turn out the way they want. What they want might not be okay for us. It might be terrible for us. And people are just thinking, well, they know best. They're the experts. And though they are proven wrong and wrong again, though there's experts with more expertise in the field coming out and telling the alternate facts on a science or on a data belief, they are considered quacks. They are considered people that are trying to provide misinformation to you. They're trying to turn us against each other. They're trying to make them the holy grail of people that we should be following. But then again, we have to understand what type of leader do we want to follow? And I only want to follow a leader that I can aspire to be, because I aspire to be a type of person who's going to be ambitious. And then I also have rules in place to make sure that I don't become some tyrant. And that's what's happening. Tyranny. They're trying to rule over us with an iron fist. Do as I say, not as I do. AOC, going to Florida. Do as I say, not as I do. Wear your mask. In Florida, she's free. Freedom has never tasted so good. Gotta get a break from all the work she's doing, huh? Stand-up job. While people are leaving in droves from New York and California. I didn't know that happy people moved away from the state that they're living. Oppression is there. And people don't want to be oppressed. They want their voice to be heard. And now they're going and doing the same thing to the states they're moving in. So they go to Texas. They go to Austin. They go, oh, Austin is so great. And then they operate under the bounds of, we need this to make this city better. And then they have a homeless problem. They have an inflation problem where the housing market is skyrocketed because people from California are coming and they're paying $50,000 to $75,000 more for a home. And the income in California was more. So they're able to buy something really nice for less of the cost than they would if they bought a home in California. But we don't say anything. We just, come on, we'll figure it out. And then they limit how much resources we can mine for, whether that be natural gas, coal, anything, because they're trying to go green. But yet they don't even realize that going green is not the green that they believe is happening. And this global warming thing, that's just a shift in the weather cycle. And it's going to be like that for the next 75 years. And then it's going to shift back to where it naturally was, where people think, but then it's going to create just another panic because people are not familiar with how the patterns of weather change. So they're going to be operating around, oh, well, global warming. And I'm not telling you what to believe in. You can believe in what you want. But what I do want you to understand is that you have a voice, and your voice has meaning. So whether it is your purpose, going after more in your life, or simply fighting for your rights, fighting for what you believe in, standing up for people that you know are good. I know many people who have been labeled incorrectly, whether they've been called someone who's racist, someone who's hateful, they discriminate against a certain culture or religion. I find it weird when I speak with these people, or if I know these people and I know their character, and I say that's so far from the truth. And when people go out and tell a blatant lie just to prove a point or just to get people riled up, now you have to figure out something. Is that emotion that you're feeling yours or someone else's? And if your emotions are getting riled up by what someone is saying, that means you do not have control over your emotions. Because at the end of the day, we're in charge of our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. And if you do not have control over those three, then your voice is not going to be heard. because you're just going to be drowned out through the masses of people who follow blindly. We cannot allow our voice to be muffled. We cannot allow our inner self to be quiet. We must get loud, we must remain loud, and we must be pronounced in how we live. Because if we're just going to go to our 9-to-5 job, wait till 65 and then retire, is that really a life? And I'm not saying that you can't live that life, but you have to understand, you only have one life. So if you're just going to wait for tomorrow, wait for better times to come, you're going to be waiting for a very long time. Because what needs to happen is no more waiting, and we need more action. We need people to realize that, hey, if I want something for myself in my life, I need to speak up. I need to tell people this is what I believe. And then we put a fine line in the sand and we say, these are my beliefs, these are my values, these are my expectations. No one is going to tread on them. No one is going to spit on what I believe in. And we all can have different beliefs. We all can have different opinions. The problem is that we have forgotten how to have a cordial conversation. I can talk to someone who hates me and we can have a great conversation. Of course, I'm not going to hang around that person for a very long time because it'll be a toxic type of thing. But it doesn't mean I can't conversate with someone, especially if they're having a hard time how they should view me or what they should label me as. Because at the end of the day, if you get to know me truly, and you just don't allow what the world says, oh, this person is this, that's just putting someone in that box that we talked about. Those people are going to stay there for a very long time once they get there, because they're going to realize, well, my voice wasn't heard, my voice is not important, and then you're just going to sit still and you're not going to get up again. Because if you think about it, if you get knocked down, what do? Get back up, right? But if you get knocked down again, now you're going to think, should I get back up? Because if I get back up, I'm going to get knocked down again. But you decide you get back up again. And you get knocked down again, and you're like, that's it. I'm not getting back up. I don't like being knocked down. I don't like that feeling. And that's where many people are. They're afraid to get back up. They're afraid to rise. They're afraid to let their voice be heard once again. Because your goal in life should be to reach the highest point of your goals and your aspirations and your dreams. And when you reach that place in life and you're on top of that mountain peak, so to speak, you should be screaming for the world to understand what you have accomplished. And it's not to give you admiration and praise and acceptance. It's for you to show the world that what is possible is dependent on the person, not dependent on the world. Because our voice from the people who rise up are going to allow other people to rise up. Because people operate in the sense of a herd mentality. If I rise up, people will rise up too. But we have to set the example. We are not looking for hate. We're not looking for fighting. We're looking for people to become positive, become more mindful, and become more willing to not give up their freedom so easily. Because people in our past generations have fought for the freedoms that we have today. And yet, you squander it. You believe that one person is so bad because of misinformation, which is really people, mainstream media, telling you what's true and what to believe. So you have to start to ask yourself, who should I believe? Should I believe the government control? Should I believe individual newscasters, journalists? Or should I put in the work and figure out what I believe in? What is my voice saying? What is that person on the inside telling me to do? Because if it's telling you to sit still, then you need to dig deeper, because that's the wrong voice. Your inner self, your most truest self, is not going to say sit still. It's going to say get up. In our life and in our world, right now, that's a faint whisper. And each day becomes more faint, and that light becomes more dim. And to find it is going to require a lot of work, a lot of change, a lot of discipline and focus. not many people are going to be able to reach it and then cultivate it back up to the flame it once was. Because people forget how powerful they are. That's why governments are so quick to change the law or to change the definition, so you can be labeled, and then that fear comes in. Well, I don't want to be a terrorist. That's not good for me. I don't want to be labeled a certain type of person because that's not good for me. I want my parents to accept me because I don't want to be alone. And it goes on and on and on. So our voice stops becoming important. And then we subconsciously start to think that we're not important either. And essential workers who were once essential are no longer essential. They're thrown under a bus. They're fired if they don't follow the rules. Let your voice be heard before your voice is not going to be known. And let your voice be heard before it's too late to speak up. Because we still have time. And we will not quiet our voice just because someone is feeling hurt, because someone is feeling threatened, because someone is weak. If they want to be weak, that's their prerogative. We will not be weak. We will be strong. And our voice will be heard. If not today, tomorrow. If not tomorrow, the next week. If not the next week, the next month. If not the next month, the next year. It will happen though. So put in the work. Get your voice loud. Turn up the volume and start to find out what you truly believe in. What factors are going to be part of your life? Because the life that you think you can have or that you should be having may be the same thing. Because the life that you're living right now is not the end. There's so much more for you to do. So don't think it's over because it's just getting started. If you're just tuning in, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Do all those things that videos like, and I will be back on Friday for another episode of Coaching in Session. Make sure to share this video with whomever you believe is going to benefit from a mindset shift. Until then, everyone take care.